आई थिंक या नमस्कार। आज संडे 9 अक्टूबर 2022 ये प्रोग्राम जो डॉक्टर के HCFI हार्ट केयर फाउंडेशन ऑफ इंडिया का जो राउंड टेबल एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप एनवायरनमेंट, उसमें हमारे सभी जो एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप के एनवायरनमेंट के जो सभी एक्सपर्ट मेंबर्स हैं उनका सभी स्वागत है। और ये जो राउंड टेबल एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप एनवायरनमेंट हमारी HCFI की लास्ट 2 साल से हो रही है। लास्ट नवंबर में 2020 में हम लोगों ने स्टार्ट किया था डॉक्टर के अग्रवाल साहब ने, और उसके बाद ही कंटिन्यूएशन कर रहे हैं। तो इसमें आज का जो हमारा टॉपिक है ये हमने लास्ट टाइम जो है लास्ट संडे को लिया था, ये 2 अक्टूबर को, और इसमें हमारा जो टॉपिक था ESG क्राइटेरिया ऑन एड्रेसिंग सस्टेनेबिलिटी। ESG मींस एनवायरमेंट सोशल एंड गवर्नेंस क्राइटेरिया ऑन एड्रेसिंग सस्टेनेबिलिटी, ये हमने टॉपिक था। उसी टॉपिक को मैं कंटिन्यूएशन कर रहा हूँ। कुछ हमारे एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप मेंबर्स लास्ट टाइम नहीं भी थे और ये हमारा इनकम्प्लीट ही रह गया था, तो हम इसको कंटिन्यूएशन में कर रहे हैं। जैसा कि हम लोगों ने बैकग्राउंड में भी बताया था कि दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। ये जो ESG क्राइटेरिया है ये इज यूज फॉर बाय सोशल कॉन्शियस जो इन्वेस्टर्स इन स्क्रीनिंग पोटेंशियल इन्वेस्टमेंट। जो कंपनीज हैं उनको भी इन्वायरमेंट फैक्टर, सोशल फैक्टर, गवर्नेंस फैक्टर में क्या ध्यान करना होगा, इन्वेस्टर्स को क्या ध्यान करना होगा, ये सब चीज़ें हमने बैकग्राउंड के साथ डिस्कस किया था। और उसमें हमारे बहुत से एक्सपर्ट्स इंक्लूडिंग जो डॉक्टर शाह संजीव कुमार जी ने जो RE सस्टेनेबिलिटी लिमिटेड से हैं रैम की ग्रुप की, उन्होंने प्रेजेंटेशन बहुत डिटेल में दिया था, ए वेरी एक्सीलेंट प्रेजेंटेशन। उसके बाद हमारे और एक्सपर्ट डॉक्टर साहब और जिंदल साहब, प्रोफेसर मीनाक्षी दोते, पार्थोस त्यागी सर, SK गुप्ता जी, इन सब लोगों ने डिस्कस किया था। एंड हमारे पार्थोस त्यागी सर ने देयर वर सम काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस रिलेटेड टू दिस प्रेजेंटेशन, तो हम लोगों ने इसको आज कंटिन्यूएशन में किया है। बिफोर संजीव जी अभी अपना प्रेजेंटेशन दोबारा से करेंगे, उसके पहले जस्ट आई रन थ्रू दी जो एक प्रेजेंटेशन है ESG रेगुलेशन रिपोर्टिंग 2022। ये जस्ट एक 4-5 स्लाइड है, मैं आई जस्ट रन थ्रू दैट, देन विल डिस्कस फर्दर। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज। आप जैसा कि जानते हैं कि एनवायरमेंट सोशल गवर्नेंस का जस्ट तो हमने लास्ट टाइम बताया था, दिस इज एड्रेसिंग एंड मैनेजिंग द इशू ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज एंड एनवायरमेंटल डिग्रेडेशन। Indian government legislation has implemented many policy to adopt a more sustainable way of business and promote circular economy। ये हमारा जो करंट इंडियन गवर्नमेंट का फोकस है, और COP26 में भी कमिटमेंट हुए हैं, उसमें डिफरेंट ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स के कमिटमेंट्स जो हमारे जो इसका कमिटमेंट दिए थे, और जो नेशनल कंट्रीब्यूशन NDC पे भी हमने भी भेजा है यूनाइटेड नेशंस जो UNFCCC को, तो उसके रिगार्डिंग ये हमारा कमिटमेंट था फॉर क्लाइमेट चेंज एंड द एनवायरमेंट रेगुलेशन का। और वन ऑफ देम बीइंग इज एनवायरमेंट सोशल एंड गवर्नेंस जो ESG रिपोर्टिंग, वेयर कंपनी आर एनकरेज टू लुक फॉर द अल्टरनेट मेथड टू द ट्रेडिशनल फाइनेंस सेंसिटिव मॉडल। हम लोग ये जो देखते थे कि कंपनी की ग्रोथ वगैरह जब भी इन्वेस्टमेंट करते थे आइदर थ्रू म्यूचुअल फंड और की जो शेयर्स है, तो कंपनी की ग्रोथ देखी जाती थी दैट वाज इट। बट नाउ अदर देन द फाइनेंशियल सेंट्रिक मॉडल, ये आपको कितना रिटर्न देगी, वी हैव टू सी द हेल्थ ऑफ द कंपनी फॉर फ्यूचर, जो पर्टिकुलरली द एनवायरमेंट सोशल एंड द गवर्नेंस क्राइटेरिया जो है इसमें था। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज। ESG रेगुलेशंस की बात करें जस्ट बैकग्राउंड से, जो ये अभी लास्ट टाइम भी बहुत हमारे एक्सपर्ट्स ने बताया था कि ESG रिलेटेड रेगुलेशन इंडिया आर स्पेसिफाइड अंडर वेरियस लेजिस्लेशन इंक्लूडिंग जो हमारा एनवायरमेंटल लॉ से हमने शुरू किया था आफ्टर भोपाल गैस स्ट्रेटजी 1996 में एनवायरमेंट प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट, फिर वो जो इसके पहले से जो स्टॉकहोम कॉन्फ्रेंस में वो वाटर एक्ट है, एयर एक्ट है, हजार्डस वेस्ट हैंडलिंग रूल्स है, देन फैक्ट्री एक्ट 1948। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। तो फर्स्ट जो स्टिपुलेशन रिगार्डिंग एनवायरमेंट सोशल एंड गवर्नेंस रिपोर्टिंग वाज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड इन दी कंपनी एक्ट 2013। According to the section 134(3) of the Company Act 2013, companies are required to include the report compiled by their board of directors regarding the conservation of energy accompanying the annual financial statement, which is further described in Rule 83A of the Companies Accounts Rules 2014. ये हमारा 2013 से कंपनी एक्ट में इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ था अंडर जो है सेक्शन 134(3). नेक्स्ट प्लीज। Along with this जो है रेगुलेशन 34(3) ऑफ द सेबी जो सिक्योरिटी एक्सचेंज बोर्ड ऑफ इंडिया है, द लिस्टिंग ऑब्लिगेशन डिस्क्लोजर रिक्वायरमेंट रेगुलेशन 2015 जो था, जो एलओडीआर रेगुलेशंस था, ये लिस्टिंग ऑफ ऑब्लिगेशन डिस्क्लोजर रिक्वायरमेंट also provide for company to include disclosure of opportunity, risk, concern and threats as a part of their annual report, which was further amended under regulation 34(2)F, which introduced the BRSR framework in 2021. Next please. जो ESG जो बेसिकली जो गाइडलाइंस 2022 की आई, न्यू गाइडलाइंस रिप्लेस दी जो प्रीवियस BRR जो बिजनेस रिपोर्ट जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी रिपोर्ट थी, उसमें मेकिंग इट मैंडेटरी फॉर अ टॉप जो 1000 लिस्टेड कंपनी टू एनुअली रिपोर्ट ESG रिलेटेड इंफॉर्मेशन फ्रॉम द फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2022-23. And further, the Indian Bank Association, because finance advisory, has also published guidelines for responsible financing regarding the integration of ESG risk management into the financial institution decision making process and business strategy operations. ये also Bank Association also introduced. Next please. So ESG reporting जो 2022 में the Ministry of Corporate Affairs है, the policy that are required by the businesses to be fulfilled as per the report issued by Ministry of Corporate Affairs of the Government of India are the practice sustainable and safe way of providing goods and services, keep in mind the interest and requirement of the stakeholders, promote and the practice human rights, practice and encourage the health of all the employee, counting the supply chain workers. Next. Working and promoting the ethical, transparent and accountable way of conduct. Promote and practice that encourage environmental protection. Promote development that is all inclusive. हम बात करते हैं हमेशा and all inclusive and equal. The maintain professional conduct with the consumers and clients. Adopting transparent and responsible way in the case of participating in public awareness and regulatory policies. Next please. Next slide. Disclosure of policies and mechanisms that a company implements that are compliant with ESG. That BRSR जो बात कर रहे रेगुलेशन सभी जो मैंडेटरी है फॉर 1000 listed company, business reporting system report lays significant way on computable metrics for ensuring evaluation across sectors, companies and time period. Improve disclosure on climate and social related issues. Next. Separation of disclosure into vital and the principal indicators. The first one being the obligatory requirement, the leadership indicators, inter alia, and also higher disclosure related to the value chain of appropriate entities. The BRSR, जो business reporting है, allow interplay for organizations that are already issuing sustainability report under other जो national framework. ये बहुत mandatory है जो next one. Thanks. This is the just एक brief regarding regulations. जो last time ये हुई थी कि क्या mandatory है companies के लिए, उसके regarding I just prepared. So I think stop share the yeah. So this was the basically एक उसी continuation में जो संजू जी ने presentation दिया था, उसके continuation में ये एक presentation regarding the current जो regulations है और क्या मैंडेटरी है दिया. So now I'll request संजीव कुमार जी to take over the platform और एक अपना presentation लगा दें, then we can I think further जो discuss on the issue raised, the query raised in the last week presentation. Over to Sanjeev Kumar ji. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I think am I audible, sir?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. I think most of the thing, if I present, it will be a repetitive kind of thing, but just for the sake of refurbishment or whatever, we can just have a understanding what was done, what we did it in the last meeting. This is more like very much clear as to what is ESG and what are the regulations and how presently India it is happening and what is the way forward. I will not go in detail the first few sections of this whole presentation. It is more about ESG as a whole, which is going on. It is about what is in ESG we already had, and I had shared the presentation. This is a replica of the what has been done, though the format is a bit different. The pillars of ESG, obviously, it includes the effect on physical and natural environment, and the considerations include the potential climate risk, extractions and use of raw materials, and effect of human activity on biodiversity. And it includes social aspect, whether that human rights are respected, is the end consumer protected from unsafe product or practices by the companies, and how the personal data of individual is protected. It also talks of the processes and the procedures of the functioning of the company. It also talks of that any fraudulent measures is being done or not being done. And the boards are composed of independent members, whether the data which is being presented on the financial health of the company, are they potentially non-risk in terms of any misappropriation. The basic objective is that to ensure businesses are conducted in more responsible manner, to ensure that the business enterprise are considered as critical components, adoption of responsible business practices to cover the environment, social and governance aspect, and compliance of ESG norms. What has happened is that over a period of the time, traditionally investment decisions for any individual stakeholder or to the bankers or to the investors was mainly done on the financial health of the company. However, due to the growing concern over the climate change, adopting and mitigating the consequences, the sustainable models of development, so that whatever we are being invested or whether the company will lie for long term or not, ESG concept was brought in. And to be very clear, it was brought in the year 2012. But over a period of the time, this has been now made into part of a mandatory reporting. And if we look into as a part of ESG funds, which is also like a mutual fund, and it affects the mutual fund also, the market few couples of years was estimated to be by around 12,000 crores. The goals need to be repeated. It is the same. How the regulation has come up, this is important. I think this was one such query which we did not address, and Paritosh sir had requested for more clarification and had some queries. I hope this may be of help. These are Company Act 2013 very clearly talks of. These are the three laws which are governing the ESG regime: Companies Act 2013, environmental laws, and the labor laws. In the Companies Act 2013, different sections very clearly define that which are the things which needs to be mandatorily be clear, so that the system which is coming up through ESG is getting properly reported or properly brought to the public notice or stakeholders notice. Different sections, I've just tried to highlight the section and highlight what does that section read. The first one is talking about conservation of energy. The second talks about the CSR policy, which is a mandatory to be reported now. Second is talks of the duties of the director of the company. Just being the director, it does not, it has to be the director responsibility falls under to the best interests of the company. It employs the stakeholders and community at large and also for the protection of the environment. It also talks about the qualifications and the appointment, and involving the women director on board is a preferred thing, and in many cases it is now becoming a mandatory. Some companies are voluntarily working, but the act says that woman director has to be there. It also talks of the list obligations and disclosure requirement. If it is going for a public listing or investment, stipulates that 1/3 of the board shall comprise of independent directors. Generally, these independent directors should be the people from the area of expert that organization is working in one or the other way, either in terms of the expertise, in terms of the technical, or in terms of the other functioning, other components which the company requires as a part of proper functioning. It also talks about that who should be the chairperson of the board, and if it is, except for those not having identifiable promoters. It also talks of what should be the composition of the board, with how many minimum independent directors and how many directors, and in case of listed entity having outstanding sustainability reporting equity shares to all the members. It also talks of NRC, that is Nomination and Remuneration Committee. Nobody can be paid abnormally very high. Nobody should be paid below the par. So there is an NRC committee right from top to the down. These are very clearly defined. And it also talks about that in case it is capital market, as a capital market regulator, SEBI makes it mandatory for top 100 listed companies by market capitalization to file the business responsibility report. The earlier it was BRR, business responsibility report. However, capturing the non-financial performance was not the part of reporting in 2012. However, in May 2021, it has now been exchanged from business responsibility report to business responsibility and sustainability report. And this has now been made as a part of mandatory for top 1,000 listed companies by market capitalization. And it is also optional for the P companies if they want to be in the, they want to do there. It's voluntarily for below 1,000 listed companies as well. So BRR was replaced by BRSR with effect from financial 2022-2023. So for the current financial year, all the companies from next year closure of the financial year follow put up BRR for the top 1,000 listed companies by market capitalization. Environment laws, labor laws, I discussed in last meeting a lot. I won't repeat. What are the disclosure requirements? Obviously, it is BRSR now. It was from BRR. The major regulator is MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and also it comes as a part of the performance against 9 principles of national guidelines of business conduct issued by MCA. And in view of the Sustainable Development Goals and United Nations Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights. The BRR has the following disclosures are mandated by SEBI in the form of BRSR. The companies need to disclose the ESG risk factors by them, but also mitigation strategies, the sustainable goals of the company and how they have performed in the last financial year, environment-related aspect as greenhouse gases emissions, waste management practices, quantum of waste diversity, biodiversity, social-related issues, disclosure on the social impact assessment, CSR, rehabilitation and resettlement, if that project has envisaged or has handled, consumer-related disclosures such as product labeling, product recall, consumer compliance related to data privacy and cyber security. If we can just recall, there was a recall of some vehicle by Volvo for their car, Volkswagen, which had some faulty design and batteries. So this model is in line with the international standards as Global Reporting GRI Initiative, Task Force on Climate Related Financial Disclosures. Top 1,000, I think these are repeating. Why it is relevant? It is good for investors to know that where they are investing their money. For the businesses, it enhances the company's image, company's reporting pattern, and assess their risks, that whether their business is in right direction and what are the mitigation factors they are putting it up so that they can change their business strategy. It also helps the consumer to come to know that from where the product is coming, which are the factors the product will have an impact, and how whether if as an individual investor, as a consumer, he is investing in, then whether it is in right direction or not. The various regulators are definitely the MCA and which supervises the public listed companies as well as the asset managers. The Ministry of Non-Renewable Energy plays a very important role because it not only talks of the sustainable development goals, but also of greenhouse gases and the other renewable sources of either consumption or production. The RBI is one such very important regulator. It is highlighted in a paper that green finance as an emerging as priority for public policy. The courts plays an important role. Obviously, Honorable Supreme Court, Honorable High Court, and of late, NGT has also been very critical about the issues related to pollution and issues related to the conservation of the natural resource. So those are the major regulators. As an investor, obviously, it means that any traditional financing sector also has non-financial, social, and governance. The important part of contemporary debate of the stakeholders versus stakeholder capitalism is also being defined. It also gives us seeks an independent, reliable information before choosing how to allocate capital and where to invest. And for that reason, ESG is gaining position at the international level with lot of funds coming in and lot of investment in form of FDI coming in. This project, this ESG reporting has a relevance there. In India, it is reporting, though in crude manner, but now with mandatory coming in, it is going to pick up. And it is, since it's a mandatory, so definitely investors or the companies are trying to bring in a lot of investment, a lot of focus on the ESG reporting. India too has to contend with number of ESG issues, which is further compounded. So the matter is the measuring agencies like DHS, Dow's and Joe's agencies, or the other agencies who are measuring on the assessing our reporting. With large population, we do have a challenge. It needs proper working, whether we should continue in the present format, whether we should do it, because our priorities are a bit different than the European countries or the American countries' priorities. And our diversity is very high in terms of what kind of social structure we have, either in the form of caste, creed, and in terms of gender. So those are the factors. What are our priority needs? Should we be a signatory? Should not be a signatory? It's not a question of signatory. It's about what kind of format do we want to be present in our way of presentation, and should we accept the evaluating agencies? So those are the things which will evolve over a period of the time, and it's getting more and more global recognition. Just wanted to give you of the examples which has so far has happened. The Tata Consulting Services has revealed that they will reduce their greenhouse emissions to and achieve net zero by 2030. Even Hindustan Liver set up in sector in Mumbai to cater to issues of lack of personal hygiene, non-availability of the clean water. And the very interesting one was the Ghaziabad Municipal Corporation, which became the first ever civic body in India to issue green bonds listed on BSE for environmentally sustainable project of wastewater reuse, raising 150 crores to proceed for the treatment of the tertiary recovered water for the benefit of industries. In India right now, it is like rapidly evolving in India, and there has been upward trend in the incidence and the quality of reporting by the companies. Framework towards goal of more sustainable, transparent, and long-term viable investing trend is required. The problem is, the challenge is that there is lack of standardization of reporting requirement across borders and may poses difficulty in harmonizing the ESG principles, framework, and consideration. It also relates to transparency, consistency, materiality, and comparability of the ESG standards, and may pose roadblocks in seamless implementation of the ESG reporting framework ahead. So these are the concerns which needs to be addressed, and in order to formulate an effective and efficient mechanism of ESG reporting in future. So with this, I would close the presentation, and I would request that whatever probably was raised, if anything more is required, I would definitely like to attend that. And if not, I would again come back to this August gathering. Thank you, sir.
I have a question to Mr. Sanjeev Kumar. Am I
Yes.
audible, please? Am
Yes,
I
sir,
audible?
yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When the requirement of environmental impact assessment was there, compulsorily there, how does it differ from ESG? How ESG is different from EIA requirements? Doesn't EIA cover the requirements of ESG?
Yes, sir. Just to clarify this, environmental impact assessment is done before the project is getting established.
Correct.
And the project requirement is that the parameters mentioned for a project has got standard TOR and a specific terms of reference to be studied, which is a part of the EIA report, draft EIA report, which goes to the gets prepared by the accredited consultant, and it goes to the committee for clearance. So there are certain parameters which do mention a few of the parameters here it become which is there. So the components, mostly I can say few of the commitments are made there, but whether that commitment post that project in getting established is getting monitored or not, or is getting implemented or not, needs to be now a mandatory reporting through this ESG reporting as a part of the financial disclosures, which was earlier only the financial disclosures was made before this 2022-23. Now, whether those parameters which were considered, or what are the parameters which were considered, which were to be implemented, is the company doing that or not, that should become a part of their reporting and gets into this. So this is the thin line difference between both EIA reporting. One is pre-project and the other is post-project and implementation.
Thank you.
I can add to further the Jain Sahab that was as Sanjeev rightly said, this is basically the prior environment clearance, and once the authority, either central authority or state authority, give the environment clearance, there's a number of conditions, more than 50-60 conditions, that includes environmental conditions and also the social conditions, for example CSR activity and environment management plan and all the surrounding area that will be. And there is a mandatory is to submit the 6-monthly compliance report, environment compliance report to the authority, regional office or the ministry or the whatever, including the copy to state pollution control board. But that's basically these conditions, number of conditions, everything they covered, but not being properly monitored. And here also some aspects of the ESG are not included for detailing of the social, like very few activity of social they include that with the, and also governance part is not included. So it is very, I mean, here is the 3 pillars that was in the EIA. Basically, the one is the only mainly the environment pillar was the included there, and this not even post the clearance not being monitored properly by the either state pollution control board or the ministry, so that this becomes like a kind of document, and companies not even sometimes bothered about. Only mandatory they say noted, and we will comply. This kind of this goes on. This is the thing like.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So now I'll request Sir Parthos Tyagi sir say, and after the this presentation, his observations and views on the yeah.
Well, I'm very happy, and I congratulate
Sir, thank you so
Mr.
much.
Sanjeev Kumar
Sanjeev ji made really excellent.
to have labored so much within this week. He must be a busy officer otherwise, and made a very cogent presentation.
Sir, आपके
so much more
sir, CPCV के थे ये. CPC, he was from in CPCV. I think he was in CPCV now for some time. Yeah.
I'm aware of that. I would like to know about the auditing part. We don't have environmental auditors professionally accredited even now. do we have ESG auditors? And if we do not have auditors, the authenticity of the reports will always remain in doubt. So is any measure being taken administratively and technically to fill up the gap of audit of ESG reports? This is one. The second thing is that although now ESG is very, very comprehensive, one aspect of risk and disaster still is not clearly coming within its fold. And operations do involve risks and disasters, and whether those risks are increasing due to operation, and whether safeguards are being taken to offset those risks. This is also a very relevant point, which has not probably found its place. Maybe it is there in the act, or Mr. Sanjeev Kumar may like to point out that he said and I did not hear. So whatever it is, these 2 points, I think, may require some more attention. Thank you very much.
Sanjuji, we want to, please, then I can.
No, I think these are very important points, both the points which sir has raised. And the objective of this particular discussion would definitely help us is one of such things that it is a very nascent stage. Definitely, sir, to the answers to both the questions raised by you is that it is not there. Because what we have seen in the market right now, and this is as an individual for my side, I am just trying to propagate this particular thing, that everything cannot be done by the big fours and the chartered accountants. ESG reporting is also being, you can say it is being sabotaged and it is being camouflaged by the chartered accountants. All the people sitting here on this forum are beyond there is no word I have to express about the kind of knowledge and the kind of experience you all are at this zenith. And these are the practical people. Why, how we can. And sir, since I'm just at the age of 50 right now, and I am seeing with the seniors of 80 plus people here, I would like to take it very seriously, being within the system, that how these expertise should be a part of the auditors, and they should be mandatory now, even in the boards who are there with, I belong to a company which is there for an environment, sustainability and resource recovery. So how these people, all these people becomes a board member, and how they also become a mandatory partner in the auditor's assessment. This is part one. Secondly, on the disaster and the risks management, definitely that also expertise has to be there, sir. So these two findings, I would request HCFI, apart from few more things, to be made it directly vocal and a follow-up action with MCA. There can be many more things which can come up, sir. So the answer to your question, no, it is not there, sir. It needs to be incorporated.
Thank you.
That Sanjeev rightly said. I mean, whatever the chartered accountant firms, I mean I should not name we know the all big four, how they captured and where these people are either CA or MBA, that they have everything they know. I mean, they are expert on all, and they particularly the environmental and the aspects. I don't know what level the knowledge they have, but everything even the government department also, they are there. In the big companies, they are there. So as a auditor, they are always there. You find it there. So ये तो हमें definitely a lot of changes needed to be from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs also, and from the either Ministry of Environment or the such government organizations need to be, whatever the changes are required. Sanjeev ji, yeah.
Second part, sir, within the government also, this is very important requirement, that most of our project follows a project structuring, wherein you have vendors, you have supply chain mechanism, and you have selection of people either for the project execution or for the material arrangement. Right from this POs, that is purchase order or the tender requirement, these parameters should be inbuilt. Now, if I take it like that, if suppose any, for example, let us take NHAI. If NHAI is structuring a project, then in the structuring of the project itself, how are the resource recovery? How are the vendors who are getting selected? Are they are they getting it things which is affecting the greenhouse gases or maximization of resources? Or if it is steel manufacturer or steel supplier, is that being considered? So these parts should be inbuilt right from the beginning as a part of an SOP. These SOPs to be derived that every PO should have 4, 5, 6 parameters on the ESG and the risk management in terms of natural hazards or so. At that level, if it starts getting beginning, obviously with the help of the expertise in the market, then things can be on a better shape and faster faster visualization can be there.
Yeah. Thank you, Sanjeev ji. Now I'll request a few comments from the R.N. Jindal sir, then we'll go further with the other experts. So Jindal sir, after seeing the presentation today also, and then if any your views or any comment on that today. R.N. Jindal sir, yeah.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Dr. Saab. Good afternoon, Tyagi sir, Neeraj ji, Jain Saab, and Sanjeev ji. Excellent presentation both of you have made. Yes, the issue remains. If you go back to a little bit history, you know, environmental laws has taken over many things, and it is being considered as the hindrance in the corporate world. So silently, you know, earlier when climate change issues were there, so Ministry of Earth Science has taken over climate change issues. Now, Modi government decided in 2014 that climate change issue will remain with the Ministry of Environment Forest, and they were withdrawn from the Ministry of Earth Sciences. So, there are clear-cut guidelines. Now, during same period, 2013, you know, Company Act came in 2013. So, Ministry of Company Affairs has taken over this ESG issue slowly to reduce the impact or the of Ministry of Environment, Forest, Climate Change. So that is one of the background. Otherwise, you know, and that happens. So it is the government who has to take call, as it has been the issue of climate change. But there is always affected by the PSG, the corporate world. The existing rule by the time efficiency
I think Jindal ji का थोड़ा नेट का इशू है,
you know, and slowly then the waste rules. Okay, so those cases and
hello, डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया है, जंदल जी का नेट का इशू है. Now going to, because मेरे पास अभी 5-10 मिनट हैं अभी 12 मिनट. So जिंदल जी I think reconnect हो गए हैं.
Okay. So because you know, Tyagi sir has raised the issue of risk and you know disaster management. It is already there in chemical accident rules. It is already there. Part of it is the manufacture, storage, import of hazardous chemical rules, and the policy framework. You know, even insurance policy framework and the Public Liability Insurance Act, and all those three. But I have dealt those three, you know, subjects and rules and act, and there is a deficiency in the compliance. So now, if I add here in ESG that risk and disaster management, then there is another organization came in, is the NDMA. NDMA earlier in 2006 they came in and they start fighting that they want to take over this chemical accident rules and PIL Act and government didn't know it was mainly the issue of environment. So still clarity is not there about these issues. And what I feel is that auditors and other things, why we always go for a new terminology and new things? Why we should not comply with the existing rules? Try to seek compliance, not 100%, not 90%, at least 75% of it. Because every time new terminology is coming in for the same old issues. So that should be avoided. And yes, Big Four role has to be curtailed. Otherwise, it will be a big disaster. Thank you.
Thank you, Jinder Saab. Thank you so much for your views. Now I'll request Ravinder ji, Dr. Ravinder Kumar, for his views. Then I think Neeraj ji will take over. Over Dr. Ravinder Kumar.
थैंक यू। पहले तो संजय जी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, उन्होंने बहुत अच्छे सब्जेक्ट पे आज बहुत डिटेल्ड प्रेजेंटेशन किया है। इसमें एक चीज मैं थोड़ा सा ऐड करना चाहूँगा कि इसमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट का भी एक बहुत बड़ा रोल है, जिन्होंने ये कहा है कि जो डायरेक्टर की ड्यूटी होगी वो गुड फेथ में करनी है अंडर सेक्शन 166(2) ऑफ द कंपनी एक्ट। इसमें ये है कि ये आपको कंपनी की केवल ये जिम्मेवारी नहीं है कि आप शेयर होल्डर को देखें और कंपनी को देखें, साथ साथ आप इन्वायरमेंट को देखें। उसको देखते हुए ये बहुत अच्छा स्टेप्स है, जिसमें कंक्लूसिव हुआ है कि हम कैसे जो है एनर्जी के कंजर्वेशन को देखें, यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ अल्टरनेटिव सोर्सेस ऑफ एनर्जी को देखें, कैपिटल इन्वेस्टमेंट को देखें, और साथ साथ जो है सस्टेनेबल फाइनेंस ग्रुप की स्थापना हुई है रिजर्व बैंक में, जो कि नेशनल और इंटरनेशनल एजेंसीज जो भी इस क्लाइमेट चेंज को डील कर रहे हैं उसके लिए फंडिंग सपोर्ट कर रही है। इसमें इंडियन बैंक एसोसिएशन जो आई है वो नेशनल वॉलंटरी गाइडलाइन फॉर रिस्पॉन्सिबल फाइनेंस के द्वारा सेटअप किया हुआ है, जो कि ये कोशिश करते हैं कि जो भी बिजनेस हो रहे हैं उसमें हम लेंडिंग कर सकें, इन्वेस्टमेंट दे सकें। तो ओवरऑल जो कॉप का हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव है, जो हमने कॉप 26 जो ग्लासगो में हुआ है, उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए ये जो फर्दर जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट की गाइडलाइन आई है और जो रिवीजन हुआ है, आई थिंक ये काफ़ी हद तक हमें जो इन्वायरमेंटल अवेयरनेस आज तक कंपनी वाले ये सोचते थे कि नहीं CSIR कर दिया हमारी काम हो गया, तो उससे हट करके जो इन्होंने एक अलग तरीके से जो टॉप 500 कंपनीज हैं उनको लेकर के आए हैं कि नहीं आपको करके देना है, इन्वायरमेंटल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी भी लेनी। बहुत अच्छी चीज़ है। और जैसे कि प्रीवियस स्पीकरों ने कहा कि इन्वायरमेंटल ऑडिट कैसे हो और उसकी कैसे प्रॉपर मॉनिटरिंग हो और कैसे जांच हो, वो बहुत बड़ा विषय है। और इस पे मुझे लग रहा है कि हाँ अभी और भी मंथन की आवश्यकता है, क्योंकि सही बात है कि हम चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट के हाथ में रख देंगे तो अपने हिसाब से सोचेंगे। तो ये चीज़ें बहुत ज़रूरी है कि कैसे इन्वायरमेंटल ऑडिटिंग के लिए एक नेशनल लेवल पे कोई अथॉरिटी हो या पर्टिकुलर जैसे इन्वायरमेंटल ऑडिटर्स हो, सर्टिफाइड ऑडिटर्स। हमारे यहाँ रोड सेफ्टी के लिए जैसे गवर्नमेंट ने पास किया हुआ सर्टिफाइड ऑडिटर्स होते हैं, वो जा करके चेक करते हैं। उस तरह से अगर इन्वायरमेंटल ऑडिटर्स का कोई कोर्स हो सके और सारी चीज़ों को, सारे पहलू को ध्यान में रखा जाए, और जो इन्वायरमेंटल ऑडिटिंग है वो इन्वायरमेंटल ऑडिटर ही करें, होपफुली है कि ये जो रेगुलेशंस आया है इसकी इफेक्टिवनेस काफ़ी अच्छी होगी। और उम्मीद है कि आने वाले समय में हम इन्वायरमेंटल साइड से बेटर कर पाएंगे।
थैंक यू।
मेरा यही कहना
जी, थैंक यू डॉक्टर रविंदर फॉर योर नाउ आई रिक्वेस्ट नीरज त्यागी जी इफ यू वांट टू से about this subject today.
Ji, namaskar. Thanks for calling me, and this is a great opportunity on ESG. जो कुछ इश्यूज जो मिसिंग मुझे लग रही थी, वो एक तो सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम जैसे चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स की बता रहे थे, मैं कहूंगा कि चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट जो है उनका फुल फॉर्म चीटिंग अकाउंटेंट हो गया है, और कंपनीज उनको हायर ही इसीलिए करती हैं कि कुछ डाटा जो है गलत तरीके से प्रोड्यूस किया जाए। तो यही एक इशू ग्रीन वॉशिंग की भी है, जो while the country's top 25 companies are moving in the right direction, the majority have only adopted half measures or have indulged in greenwashing or making false claims of having implemented environment friendly measures. मैं अपने पावर सेक्टर में, पावर प्लांट में मैं रिस्क मैनेजमेंट कोऑर्डिनेटर भी हूं, और हर थ्री मंथ्स में रिस्क मैनेजमेंट डाटा भी जाता है, तो उसमें एनवायरमेंट और सेफ्टी का भी डाटा जाता है। तो हम लोग पूरे उसके पैरामीटर जो डीपीसीसी की एक गाइडलाइंस बनाई हुई है उसको हम मॉनिटर करते हैं। लेकिन अगर ग्रीन वॉशिंग की इशू जो प्राइवेट कंपनी, जो मिडिल सेक्टर है, छोटी कंपनीज हैं, तो वो उतना अफोर्ड नहीं कर पाती, तो वो डाटा को मैनिपुलेट करते हैं। जबकि विद द सेबी मैंडेटिंग द टॉप 1000 कंपनी टू पब्लिश BRSR from financial year 23, most companies have intensified their discussions on sustainability. A disclosure-based ESG analysis of top 120 companies suggests that there is chaos, flaws in processes, opaqueness, and instances of greenwashing. Chaos arises from non-uniformity across sustainability targets, measures, outcomes, and guidance. Opaqueness due to weak disclosures and greenwashing is easily possible as ESG laws remain weak, and significantly there is lack of third-party assurance of data on claims. And true, these are early days of ESG adoption in the corporate sector. This can be said. Appreciation of all stakeholders, society, customers, employees, minority investors, and environment is the cornerstone for sustainability. However, applying global environmental and social checks on Indian companies without appreciation of the local context may not be the right approach. Clearly, greenwashing has come a long way. When US-based Jay Westerwald, as an undergraduate student, coined this term greenwashing in 1986, the future environmentalists could have little imagined that the term would make to dictionaries and stick globally. He was prompted by a hotel in Fiji promoting the reuse of towels to save the environment in the garb of saving laundry costs and nothing else. It was nothing to do with environment. In fast-changing world, greenwashing itself has given reverse birth to mother term color washing, which in simpler terms is selectively hiding the negatives and promoting the positives to appear environmentally and socially correct and reap dividends. For example, pink washing refers to championing female empowerment while indulging in unequal practices towards women. And brown washing is about seen to be promoting people of color but following racist policies and practices. And this is greenwashing in other terms. In modern terms, I will say it will be like a ESG washing. We shall collect data for show off. तो मेजर जो हमारे जो इश्यूज है इंडिया के, मैं उनको टाइम कम है तो मैं केवल 6 पॉइंट्स इश्यूज है। क्लाइमेट एक्शन है, सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी है, इसमें हम पहले डिस्कस कर चुके हैं। लेबर एंड ह्यूमन राइट्स है, प्राइवेसी एंड साइबर सिक्योरिटी, ये भी गवर्नेंस में है। कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस एंड कंप्लायंस, हम कंप्लायंस दिखाते हैं कि ये हमने in India, which is a democratic nation, compliance with laws and regulation is one of the most basic principles of business activities. In the case of global companies, compliance must be thoroughly followed to conduct business following the global norms and laws of each country where the business operates. सबसे बड़ी बात एक जो CSR से हम इसको ऐड कर रहे हैं कि it is not the extension of CSR activity. ESG should be separate from CSR. CSR department should be separate and ESG should be separate. और मैं तो ये कहूंगा कि ESG कमेटी एक हर एक कंपनी में अलग से बननी चाहिए और उसकी प्रॉपर मॉनिटरिंग होनी चाहिए। हमारी जो प्रॉब्लम एरिया है जो इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, आर इंडियन कंपनीज identifying the appropriate material issue that are most relevant to the stakeholders. ESG issues vary by industry and company. Companies should focus on material issues that directly affect their stakeholders, impact society, and contribute to bottom line. Organization would benefit from creating an independent ESG committee focusing on ESG issues, risks, and opportunities. Once the strategy and its implementation roadmap are in place, it is critical to enhance stakeholder communications by tailoring it to provide each stakeholder group with the information and updates they seek. Second point, are Indian companies able to collect data required to report on key material topics? And data is an integral aspect of how an organization tracks and reports on ESG issues. The lack of standard rules for reporting is often brought up as a barrier in identifying the data that is required to make impactful disclosures. Next point is third one, can small and mid-sized Indian businesses absorb ESG related costs, especially after pandemic? There is a thought that only bigger companies with deep pockets can participate in ESG reforms because of the costs associated with integrating and reporting on ESG topics. With companies still battling the effects of business interruptions caused by pandemic, Indian businesses are struggling to cater to the ESG demands of their stakeholders in the absence of dedicated, well-staffed and appropriately trained ESG departments. ESG departments hai nahi, maximum companies. Do Indian companies have access to the right set of skilled ESG professionals? There is no doubt that ESG is maturing in India and finding qualified people is becoming harder. ESG in India is growing at a much faster rate than many had foreseen. Earlier, where just collecting ESG data for reporting and communication purposes was the requirement. Today's corporate ESG requirements are more complex. What are the problems? Lack of familiarity with managements about environmental issues. There is lack of awareness. Confusing ESG as an extension of corporate social responsibility and difficulty in incorporating ESG information into the decision-making process are the key challenges. Tall claims by companies and glossy reports with ESG mentions are in many cases just playing to the gallery. Today, with evolving standards, ESG levels will get slapped on everything. In fact, ESG claims of most companies are ridden by non-uniformity around disclosures, setting up targets and objectives, tracking of progress, and measuring outcomes. Thus, 87 out of 120 companies surveyed have good environmental scores, but it is less than half of that when it comes to scores on social and climate action. So there is lack of methodical approach. Barely 20% of top 120 companies are registered with Science-Based Target Initiative, SBTI. This shows that there is no methodical approach to reach net zero targets. What is significant is that most of the companies, even in the top 120, have not taken basic steps, such as setting targets for carbon reduction, shifting to renewable energy sources, committing to SBTI, running environment-friendly projects, and keeping emissions under check. Only sectors like IT, banking, insurance, and NBFCs have high scores on sustainability.
Neeraj ji, I think that
I am concluding. We require a new mindset that I want to say. Investors rather need to assess a company's plan to bring in more energy efficiency, moving towards carbon efficiency technology, and strengthening their processes around recycling waste and used products. That's all what I want to say.
Thank you, Neeraj ji. बहुत आपने points particularly जो analysis है companies की out of 120 companies में you have good report presented there. Time हमारे पास कम है, but I think we have the book हमारे जो experts हैं. रविंद्र पालाकुटी जी, you want to say anything, sir? Ravinder Balakuti ji.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for an excellent session. It's a new subject for me.
Yes.
जिस तरह से मैं सुन रहा था, there are gaps in the institutional arrangements for conducting these type of activities. तो हमारे expert साहब ने जो बोले हैं, जरूर इसको experts groups like yours group should take it to the notice of the concerned agencies in Government of India and state governments. ये रिपोर्टिंग हमारे तरफ से ही होना चाहिए कि भाई एनवायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट हो, ये चीजें जो है टेक्निकली कंडक्ट होना चाहिए इंस्टेड ऑफ लीविंग देम टू डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ द ऑडिटर्स हु आर एसेंशियली फाइनेंशियल अकाउंटिंग पीपल. So really it's very interesting subject for me. It's a new subject. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I would be very much interested in attending few more sessions on this.
Yes.
Sanjeev ji ko thank you very much, Sanjeev ji, for an excellent presentation. And
Thank you, Ravinder ji. बिल्कुल.
It's a pleasure and congratulations for conducting these type of activities at the weekends.
Yeah. Thank
Learning
you, sir.
experience. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Ravinder ji is a senior professor in the Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Climate Change, Government of Delhi का है यहाँ पे जो बालीपुर में वहाँ पे हैं और हमारे friend हैं. So he is now our the members from last month. He is just coming there. So thank you, Ravinder ji. Rajiv Sharma ji, want to say anything? Then we can close the session. राजीव शर्मा जी.
हाँ डॉक्टर साहब नमस्कार. डॉक्टर साहब नमस्कार.
नमस्कार सर. नमस्कार सर.
नमस्कार नमस्कार. तो बड़ा अच्छा सेशन आपका रहा, बड़ा अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन था. बट आई एम नॉट कन्वर्ज, सो इट्स नॉट फॉर मी टू कमेंट एनीथिंग ऑन दैट. But I will appreciate. I do not know. Last time Mr. Gupta he commented something. And I also agree with him. क्योंकि हमें पहले जो है जो नियम बने हुए हैं उनको तो हम करा नहीं पा रहे हैं इम्प्लीमेंट किसी भी तरीके से. और दिन प्रतिदिन एक every day we are having a new legislation, new laws, new rules. Nobody is to see them, nobody is to implement them, nobody is to monitor them. But एक authority हो जाएगी वहाँ पे, additional charge authority. वो भी not a full-fledged authority, one a clerk and other some steno, and that's all. And he will look the entire India or entire state. They can't do anything. Several laws are there. For instance, अभी आपने देखा होगा कि segregation of wastes from houses एक बड़ा नियमावली बन गई, रूल्स बन गया, सब कुछ बन गया. और उसमें पनिशमेंट भी दिखाया जा रहा है, सब कुछ दिखाया जा रहा है, लेकिन उसमें हो कुछ नहीं रहा. Nobody is implementing it. इसी तरीके से आपने देखा होगा वो गाड़ियों का वो स्मोक चेक करते हैं. 100 रुपए दीजिए, जैसा चाहे वैसा स्मोक निकलवा लीजिए. तो what we are doing. हमें जो पहले होना चाहिए कि जो जितने लॉज हमारे बने हुए हैं उनको देखें और देखने के बाद इंप्लीमेंट करें. हमारा तो एक्सपीरियंस ये है कि वी डोंट नीड एनी न्यू लॉ. जो हमने भी कभी भी मतलब पूरे एंटायर सर्विस में जो भी पुराने नियम थे, पुराने एक्ट्स हैं, पुराने लॉज हैं, उनके आधार पर ही सारा का सारा बड़ा इफेक्टिवली कंट्रोल किया हर जगह. तो अब प्रश्न ये है कि नए की हमें तब जरूरत हो, कुछ समझ में आए, कुछ करने के लिए नया करना है तो बात दूसरी है. अन्यथा तो जो ऑलरेडी देखिए गंगा में पॉल्यूशन रोकने के लिए पता नहीं कितने आपने एक्ट्स बना रखे हैं, रेगुलेशंस बना रखे हैं, लेकिन फिर भी वो वैसे ही चल रहा है सब कुछ देखने के बावजूद भी. तो इससे क्या होगा, एक ऑपरेशन और बढ़ेगा, एक टेबल और खुल जाएगी जहाँ पे काम करने वाले को जाना पड़ेगा और वो सब काम कराएगा जिस तरीके से और जगह काम करा रहा है. तो हमारा तो जो गुप्ता जी कह रहे थे पिछली बार, आई डू नॉट नो वेदर ही इज हियर और नॉट.
आज नहीं है गुप्ता जी आज नहीं है इसके गुप्ता जी. चलिए सर, आपका बहुत अच्छे व्यू और आपके एक्सपीरियंस फॉर एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में और पर्टिकुलरली डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में बहुत अच्छा रहा है डेफिनेटली, और आपके व्यूज हम टेक अप इसमें। तो आज हमने डेफिनेटली जो संजीव जी ने बहुत अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन दिया। सर पार्थो त्यागी सर, फर्दर एनी कमेंट सर, आज कोई फर्दर आपके सर?
Oh, thank you. Okay.
जी सर, जी सर। सो आई थिंक विद दिस मैं संजीव कुमार जी का और सभी एक्सपर्ट्स का, जो आज हमारे एक्सपर्ट्स ने, पार्थो त्यागी सर, आर एन जिंदल सर, डॉक्टर रविंद्र कुमार, रविंद्र पालाकुट्टी जी, नीरज जी, एंड रविंद्र एंड दी जो हमारे एक्सपर्ट्स हैं, सभी लोगों ने जो राजू शर्मा जी, सबने जो व्यूज एक्सप्रेस किए, डेफिनेटली इस सब्जेक्ट में हमें फर्दर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन की ज़्यादा जरूरत है। दो रेगुलेशंस आर देयर। सपोज अगर आज 1000 कंपनीज का है, ये डेफिनेटली कम टू जो मिड लेवल कंपनीज हैं, इसमें फर्दर स्मॉल कंपनीज हैं, तो हमारे लिए कितना एक्चुअल में इन्फोर्समेंट की जरूरत होगी, कितने एक्सपर्ट की जरूरत होगी इस सब्जेक्ट को अगर करना है। दिस मे बी द इंटीग्रेशन जो हमारा एक एनवायरनमेंट का होता था, नाउ आई थिंक दी 3 पिलर्स को हमने जो एनवायरनमेंट, सोशल और गवर्नेंस पे लिया, और आई थिंक प्रॉपर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ग्राउंड इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। आज के ये कंक्लूजन में ये है। और इसको अगर नॉट सिंपली ए काइंड ऑफ ए कंपनीज ओनली काइंड ऑफ ए वॉलंटरी शेयर नहीं, दो मैंडेटरी है, और मैंडेटरी में इसकी जो कंप्लायंस पार्ट है, नॉट ओनली द सेल्फ कंप्लायंस, इट शुड बी मॉनिटर्ड आल्सो। तो आज हमने बहुत ही देखा कि ESG में कितने इश्यूज और कितने एक्सपर्ट्स की, कितनी जो स्किल्ड हमारे जो एक्सपर्ट्स की जरूरत है, और किस तरह से हम ऑडिटिंग का पैटर्न क्या होना चाहिए, किस तरह से होना चाहिए, और इस दो चीज़ों को मैनेटरी करने के साथ साथ उसकी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन स्ट्रेटजी इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। तो हमने बहुत आज देखा, और सभी एक्सपर्ट्स का और डॉक्टर के HCFI की तरफ से सभी एक्सपर्ट्स का, सभी व्यूअर्स का धन्यवाद करते हुए आज की मीटिंग को हम क्लोज करते हैं। फिर नेक्स्ट संडे विद द अदर सब्जेक्ट विल डिस्कस करें। थैंक यू।